We welcome you to the Eagles schedule release live stream here on Philly Sports Reports. I am Benjamin Goldstein. I am joined by Sam Hine. Sam, happy Wednesday. Not just a Wednesday, it's schedule release Wednesday. How we doing?
Doing good. We get the first look at the Eagles 2024 schedule, which a lot of people will say isn't so important, but with last year's schedule and how the end of the season went with those really tough stretch of games and just how the kind of schedule was really not in the Eagles' favor last year, it definitely can impact the team's win-loss record for the next year. So we already know for sure what the first game of the season is, but I'm excited to see how it's going to shake out for the whole rest of the year and where their buy is going to be, and then for the fans, what good trips they're going to be and when they are. And so it gives us a little bit of taste of some actual look ahead into 2024 finally.
Yeah, the time right now is 7:33. The schedule is officially released at 8 o'clock. There's been leaks all day. The whole schedule's been leaked. We'll look at that a little later. So we have some time to fill. And first thing I want to talk about with you, I want to touch on the face of the franchise. He was the face on our cover picture for today. That's Jalen Hurts. A lot of talk this offseason if he will be able to take that next step. It's been going around everywhere. If we saw his drop off at the end of last season, he's been able to take the Eagles to the Super Bowl, but was not able to win it. Will he be able to take this next step to a full-on eliteness, or is he just still great?
Well, I think it's funny because, everyone talks about taking that next step when we already did see that from him when he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl and then he kind of dropped back last year. It's kind of hard to bank on that Super Bowl year as what's going to be Jalen for the rest of his career, just because in 3 out of his 4 years being the starter, he was not that level of elite quarterback. If he does not take this next step or continue to get back to that greatness that he had in 2022, it will be very concerning with all the talent that they've added on this offense and then adding new coaching staff and Kellen Moore. I think, a lot of people last year are just kind of chalking up the end of his season and the struggles to the struggles of the coaching staff of, Brian Johnson obviously getting fired, and it seems like the Eagles have chosen him to be their scapegoat for why the offense struggled down the stretch last season. But at the same time, Jalen had a lot of his faults as well. Turnovers were a big thing, not being able to really see the field as well, throwing over the middle of the field, leaving the pocket way too early, always running to the same side of the field. So Jalen himself has a lot of things in his game that he needs to be able to clean up to be able to go forward. With that being said, I'm not 100% confident in him just kind of getting back into that elite status, that top 2, top 3, top 4 quarterback, just because of the way that he has played in the majority of his games, over his career. I mean, we've seen so many quarterbacks where they have kind of these flash in the pan hot years. They come out with something new that a lot of these defenses don't really know how to defend against. And then these guys have these great seasons and then they kind of fall back a little bit. I don't think, though, that we do need Jalen to be a top, 5-3-2 quarterback to win Super Bowl. I do think that with the amount of talent that we have on this offense, all you need to do is for Jalen to just kind of run the offense, get the playmakers the ball, just run Kellen Moore's offense. And I think one of the biggest things that we'll be able to see this year to kind of know if Jalen's going to be able to return to that, top 2, top 3 quarterback, or if we're going to be around the 10 to 12, 8 to 12 range, is just if he's doing things that he wasn't doing last year in terms of being underneath center, throwing over the middle of the field, staying in the pocket for longer, trusting his O-line a little bit more, not getting so much happy feet back there, and just limiting the turnovers. Because with the amount of talent on this offense, if he's doing that, if he's running all the offense from under center, hitting guys over the middle of the field, staying in, not turning the ball over, then he'll be back up in that top 5. I do think that we have seen just a lot of the same struggles. A lot of the things that he's struggled with just have been things that he's done where it's, year one as a starter, one of the biggest things was him rolling out to the right, not being able to throw in the middle of the field. We don't know if he can read a defense, and then it comes back around. So he's shown that it might take him a little while to figure those things out. So that's why I'm not 100% confident that he will return into that elite status, just because we've seen kind of the same problems creep up. But that doesn't mean that he can't be the guy and the future franchise quarterback of this team that can lead them to where they want to be. He doesn't need to be that 1 or 2 guy to do it. He just needs to be, in that 8 to 10 range.
You mentioned Kellen Moore in there, and the new offensive coordinator, obviously Brian Johnson last year, as you said, they used him as the scapegoat. Kellen Moore coming in, a big change for this offense. Just kind of describe what his offense looks like. Will Jalen Hurts be better with it, or will it maybe be more of the same?
Yeah, so I think the Kellen Moore conversation has definitely been a lot more on the positive side. Eagles fans are very optimistic about him, and while I do like the hiring, I think that we should all kind of just take a step back a little bit and look at a lot of us say that we don't like Dak Prescott as a quarterback, but he did have his best years under Kellen Moore, which is obviously a very positive sign for the Eagles and getting Jalen Hurts back on track. But there is a reason that Dallas fired him. They felt that their offense could only go so far with him, at the helm, and then him going to San Diego for a year. A lot of people think that Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback, or at least has top 5 quarterback talent. And yes, I know there were a lot of injuries in Los Angeles last year, but that doesn't take away from the fact that Justin Herbert, still didn't really get to where he wanted to be. And after 1 year, it was a dumpster fire there, but Kellen Moore was out of there after just 1 year. So while I do think that was a good hire for the Eagles, and that it definitely has a lot of positives, I would just kind of temper expectations of, he's just going to come in and be this magic, wand waved around the offense and he's going to fix all of their problems. But in terms of what we're going to see from him, he has had a very good running backs in the past, which is obviously good for us now that we have Saquon Barkley, and Ezekiel Elliott had really good years under Kellen Moore, and then with Austin Eckler last year before he got hurt, he was having a good year. So I think we're going to see him utilize the backs on the passing game a little bit more, a little more screens, short passes to the running backs, which is obviously a major strength of Saquon. But going back to what I was talking about earlier with Jalen, that is one of his weaknesses. We've seen over the last few years that they just don't really utilize the short game for passing for the running backs, whether that be because it was a scheme thing or was a Jalen thing. But we will definitely find that out this year. And then he'll just bring more of that, hopefully, under center offense, West Coast offense, kind of with Jalen, giving the defenses a little bit more to think about with him being under center, using play action a lot more. So hopefully we'll be able to see those two kind of things. And then one of the things that Kellen Moore loves is having a running back that can pass protect, so that way he can be out there on all 3 downs. So Saquon Barkley is going to be getting a lot of snaps this year for the Eagles, and that's obviously a great thing because they paid him a lot of money to come here and be a difference maker in this offense. So I think the biggest acquisition and the biggest addition we'll see into the offense will center around Barkley and just how Kellen Moore is really going to use them.
Yeah, you certainly like to see some Saquon Barkley. And you mentioned Justin Herbert. Did you see his haircut?
No.
It's an entirely different looking guy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's like when you cut your hair and you came on the live, I was like, who's this guy coming in?
Yeah. Well, Justin Herbert, I'm sure they didn't tell him he had to cut his hair like me, but yeah.
It's a new look. Something else that's new with the Eagles, along with their offensive coordinator, is their defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, now taking the helm. A different looking defense. No Hassan Reddick. Bryce Huff comes in. It's the final year of Brandon Graham. No Fletcher Cox either. Different looking defense than we're used to. Throwing Quinyon Mitchell, a couple other guys that were drafted. How's his defense going to look? We saw it kind of fall apart in the end last year. Is that going to happen again this year, or is Vic Fangio here to clean some stuff up?
Yeah, so I mean, I feel the same way on Vic Fangio as I do about Kellen Moore, where it seems that the fan base as a whole just thinks that these guys are going to come in and just by their presence and their new schemes and all that kind of stuff that they're just going to magically fix the problems that were on both sides of the ball. But I do think a lot of it was a talent issue last year as well, especially on the defensive side. We had a lot of these guys on the defensive line that just were not putting up any production at the end of the season. The secondary was absolutely horrible, which I'm glad that they did address it. You know, obviously in the off season, you're going to have most likely 2 new starters at cornerback with Quinion on the outside, and then the reports and what Cooper DeJean saying that he's going to be the starting nickel back and, you know, kind of that slot corner role, and then getting CJ GJ back in the safety. So I'm glad that they redid that secondary, but at the same time, you know, relying on 2 rookies as 2 of your starting cornerbacks is definitely risky, especially with some of the teams they'll play this year. You know, just all around the NFL in total, there's a bunch of great wide receiver play. So, you know, I don't want to put the expectations too high on those guys year one. Obviously, they're hopefully going to be the starters for this team as first and second round picks, but most of the time rookies don't really contribute that much week one. Vic Fangio, I think that he obviously brings a ton of experience to this defense, but, you know, his last year in Miami is definitely concerning to me. A lot of the players and him did not get along well. They did not like his style of practices. They did not like his style of coaching. And I hope that the Eagles players will take to it more, but, you know, that definitely is something that is a concern. And just as a whole, I don't know if they really fixed all of the talent issue. I mean, Jeremiah Trotter and Devin White at linebacker, but we don't know how good they're going to be. Jeremiah Trotter, obviously, we all love this story, but being a 5th-round pick, he's not going to be expected to start, even though he might have to. And then Devin White coming off with a really down year. Hopefully he can get back to where he was before, but, you know, you can't count on that at this point. And then losing Hassan Reddick to the trade and then replacing him with Bryce Huff and counting on guys like Nolan Smith and just some more unexperienced guys or guys that haven't had such a long proven track record. I think the defense will be a little bit better just because of kind of shedding some of that dead weight in the secondary. But it's definitely still a concern for me for sure. I mean, we've seen teams win in the past with okay defenses. The Chiefs beat us in the Super Bowl with just an okay defense because they had a great offense. And they kind of had the exact same model that we had, a bunch of rookies out there, a bunch of, you know, new players, and just kind of patching it together as they go and score more points than the other teams. So hopefully we can win with that model, but I'm definitely a little bit skeptical about the defense. I think just the way that last season ended, me personally, compared to the fan base, I'm just a little bit more, you know, not as overjoyed and not as optimistic, just because I feel like I need to see it first instead of just having these guys, oh, we have 2 new coordinators. It was only coaching that was the reason that we lost. It wasn't the players at all. And now that we have 2 new coaches, they're going to come in and fix everything, when, you know, these guys were out on the market for a reason too, you know. So it's going to be interesting. I'm definitely excited to see how they will put their fingerprints on both sides of the ball, but I'm not willing to go out and just, you know, say right now that they're going to be the reasons that the team turns it around.
All right, well, there goes all my confidence in the defense. But another thing that kind of came out today, obviously the schedule's coming out, is you're going to be paying some more money to watch the NFL, Sam, as we are shifting now over as well to Netflix. Netflix is going to be the home of the 2024 Christmas Day games. Did you ever imagine the same channel that you watch Too Hot to Handle, you will also be watching the NFL?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I saw a tweet. I apologize because I don't remember who tweeted it out, but it said one of the biggest things that NFL is kind of giving a FU to the rest of the sports is that it's going to make this even harder for them to change channels. You know, a lot of us love watching Christmas Day basketball games, and last year when the NFL decided to put games on Christmas Day, they blew the basketball ratings out of the water, where now, you know, a lot of people will have to stream these and, you know, use Chromecast or Roku or whatever it is, and then it's going to be so hard to go back to getting it on the normal channels. But yeah, it's pretty crazy that we're going to have to pay. I mean, this is just the way it's going. It sucks, but it is pretty wild. I mean, I personally, I've cut the cord, so I don't have cable anymore. But a lot of people still do, and for those of them who their teams are playing and they're going to be exclusively viewed on this. And if you don't have Netflix having to pay for it just for one game, it really stinks.
Yeah, so now you got Netflix, you have Amazon, you have a Sunday Ticket. What else is there? Peacock.
I'll be interested to see, because I know Amazon, if you're in the local market, they still show the game on cable. So like if the Eagles are playing Thursday Night Football, they'll still show the game in Philadelphia area on cable, which I think is a good thing that they do, because that allows at least the people in those markets to be able to watch their team if they don't want to pay for Amazon or whatever. But it's going to be interesting if Netflix goes that same route. Or if they just make it exclusive, because I don't know if the Peacock game will be also on cable.
Peacock will be on NBC as well.
Okay, so then
in
maybe
the Philadelphia area. But I think the thing with that is Thursday Night Football was once on Fox. Amazon puts Thursday Night Football on Fox as well.
Mm-hmm.
NBC owns Peacock, or Comcast owns both of them. So they put it on NBC. They get
there's no direct channel.
Netflix
maybe NFL Network. Maybe NFL Network will partner with Netflix to stream to show the game in the local area on cable.
And then a lot of cable users, some have to pay a separate deal to get NFL Network. So then you're still having to pay the NFL. Yeah. I don't know. It's for an out of market fan like you, it is so much money to watch these games, because you got to get Sunday Ticket, which is not cheap. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, we had, like you said, I'm obviously out of market, so we had Sunday Ticket, we have Amazon Prime, we have ESPN Plus. We have that for my brother's baseball games, but still, you still need that for Monday Night Football, and then it's not easy to find the games. And then sometimes even on Sunday Ticket, they'll black out the games if it's like the national game on Fox. So like if the Eagles are the 425 game that's going to be on the most TVs in America for that 425 game, they'll black it out on Sunday Ticket. But if you don't have cable, then there's no way to watch it. So you have to try to find somebody's cable login and log it in and then stream it. It's a mess. It's a mess trying to watch it as a out of market fan now. And I mean, even in some of these home cities, they've got games blacked out. Like this is going to be crossing sports a little bit, but I know Bally Sports, with a lot of baseball teams, their home games are blacked out. Here in Orlando, the Magic, some of their games have been blacked out on the local cable channels, just because they haven't had enough people show up to the games or whatever it is, that Bally Sports won't air it. So it's getting hard to watch games as sports fans, and we're not moving in a good direction for that, for sure.
Yeah, and this is just how all sports are going. MLB just signed a big deal with Roku, so Sunday morning baseball is going to be on Roku. The Phillies have one of those in June.
Yeah, that's crazy. 11:35 that game is, right?
That's going to be horrible. And that was what was the original date for the Philly Sports event, but now it is June 1st, which you could buy your tickets to. $50 a ticket. Phillies Cardinals, June 1st, Saturday night matchup with the Birds. Venmo at Jennifer G71. Seats up with the Fandemic crew, pregame meetup, rally tell us. It's going to be a great time. So make sure you go do that. But June 23rd, we were originally going to do. Thank goodness we didn't, because that would be the 11:30 game.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Yeah, but the all these sports are going this way. I'm sure the NBA will be on exclusively Disney Plus or something sometime soon. And I'm waiting for the Super Bowl to be on just streaming. And all these people being blacked out of the Super Bowl, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but that will be the biggest turning point. Amazon will do it or something. And
it will happen eventually. I mean, I don't know if it'll be in the near future, just because of how much, ad revenue and all that kind of stuff they make. But I mean, next 10 years, probably, it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah. And something else that we never thought was going to happen was, more Chip Kelly talk in Philadelphia in 2024, but we can thank Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy, their new podcast. I'm going to play a 45-second clip that was posted on their Twitter. We're going to break it down a little bit, as we are 9 minutes away from the Eagles schedule being officially released.
Don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you.
Bro, you really released me off of allegations, bro.
And, like, that was a coward-ass move.
You didn't send me to Buffalo because you thought it was the best move for your team. You sent me there to die.
I never really able to get the benefit of the doubt that I deserved, bro. And it was, like, all off of Chip Kelly.
I never met a coach that was uncomfortable with dealing with black players.
Do you remember that time he made Michael Vick cry?
And I remember he's saying, bro, I cried more with dealing with Chip Kelly and the Eagles, bro, than I did in prison.
Jay Peters, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear Chip Kelly?
Bullshit ass guy, man.
All lies will be exposed. That's all.
So there you go. Sam, you grew up in the Chip Kelly era in Philadelphia. I was too young to experience it, thank God. But just hearing all that, circling back to when you were a kid, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, like you said, these were my Eagles that I grew up with. I mean, I grew up with the 04, 05 Eagles, that team with Donovan, T.O., Dawkins, those guys. Those were my early years. But these guys were my real formidable Eagles years. And they had many remember where you were moments. I remember exactly where I was. Me and my brother were playing Madden when LaShawn McCoy got traded, and we were, beside ourselves, so confused on, why they would
sent them to Buffalo to die. Shady said
for Kiko Alonso, yeah, and then Kiko made a one-handed interception in the end zone on his first game, and everyone's like, oh, maybe Kiko's not so bad, but it turned out Kiko was pretty bad. And yeah, the whole Chip Kelly experience. I mean, I remember when they originally hired Chip, he was the hottest guy out on the market, coming from Oregon with Marcus Mariota, and he had the hottest offense and the new wave of offense, and he was going to revolutionize the NFL. And oh my gosh, I remember that first game against Washington when they just went up and down the field, up and down the field, up and down the field, and they destroyed Washington that night. And everyone around Philadelphia was just like, we finally got the guy. We finally got this kind of new wave coach, coming off of Andy, where he had a bunch of bad years at the end, and everyone was just kind of done with the whole Andy Reid experience. And they hadn't obviously been far in the playoffs since 2008 at that point. And then going down in the Nick Foles experience, where Foles, had his 27-3 season, 27 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. And then it was just that one offseason when they gave over full control. I think it's crazy because just 2 years after firing Chip, they won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, I guess, all things are well that ends well, but I feel like the Eagles that team could have been a lot better and would have had a lot more of our fan favorites on it, because I do still think with the amount of guys that they had, from the guys that, Andy drafted to the free agents that they brought in and all that, they would have still, won the same Super Bowl, because they still would have been in the market for a quarterback and then gotten Wentz. And I still think it would have turned out the same. But, it's amazing how the Eagles recovered from the Chip Kelly kind of fiasco. But, man, he made a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of enemies here. Yeah, definitely one of the most hated coaches in Philadelphia history, that's for sure. I mean, I remember exactly where I was when he got fired. I remember when Deshaun got released and went to Washington. That hurt. And then he came back and caught a deep touchdown and was flapping his wings on us.
I was at that. I was at his first game back as an Eagle against Washington. We had those 2 deep touchdowns, and it was like all was good again. Yeah, it's tough, and it shows a lot to the people at the top, Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, how you said they recovered from that and won the franchise's first Super Bowl 2 years later.
Yeah, I think Chip it's going to be, kind of like Chip Kelly might have been one of the best and worst things for the Eagles franchise, because Andy Reid had been here basically the whole time throughout Jeff Lurie's tenure as owner. And same with Howie Roseman, because Howie, he hasn't been the GM the whole time. He's worked for the Eagles since the early 2000s or even the 90s, I believe. So very long time. So they kind of didn't know anything else besides the Andy Reid way, the Andy Reid philosophy. And obviously, Andy's top 2, 3, 4, 5 coaches of all time, but he was kind of going down the drain. But I think the whole Chip Kelly experience just really showed Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie how to run their own franchise, because Andy Reid controlled the draft. Andy Reid made a lot of coaching decisions. The famous one down the stretch that led to his demise was Juan Castillo. So I think that was just kind of a blessing in disguise, almost, of obviously everyone hates Chip, and he was a horrible person while he was here, extremely rude to everybody, and obviously, as Deshaun and LaShawn have talked about, he was not a great person to them and a bunch of their other teammates. But at the same time, it really showed Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman what they need to do to be able to run a successful franchise. And I mean, ever since Chip left, they've made the playoff. They've only missed the playoffs 1 year. They've been to 2 Super Bowls, won one. So, I mean, they've been really successful in the post-Chip Kelly era, even with all of his mistakes. So yeah, I think it's people are always going to look negatively back on the Chip Kelly era, and rightfully so. We lost a lot of franchise greats to him because of him. But there always is some light at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, he drafted like Zach Ertz and a few other guys that were key players on that Super Bowl team. So it wasn't all bad, but yeah, he definitely left some enemies in his wake for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. And there was a lot more that came out from that podcast that we're not going to get into today, but some controversial stuff, to say the least. So go check them out.
It's a very good listen. For sure. There's a lot of stuff that they reveal of what happened behind the scenes, some stuff that we won't want to touch on. But if you have the time and, are a big Eagles fan or lived through the Chip Kelly era, it's definitely a really good listen to hear, things from their perspective to future Eagles Hall of Famers, and just kind of their perspective of how everything went down during the Chip Kelly era.
Yeah, and while you're listening, maybe you can rock some of your FOCO stuff. FOCO, a big sponsor of Philly Sports Reports. Click the link in the description or the bio to save 10% off anything from FOCO. FOCO's the best. Make sure you go check them out. Use the link, save some money. Sam just got his shortles for the summer. Are you going to go golfing in those things?
So I don't know if those are going to pass the course dress code, but I do have them ready. I'm going to we weren't able to go to Miami last weekend, but we're going to Miami in September for the 3-game series down there, and they will definitely make an appearance in one of those 3 games for sure, and maybe even down the, I was about to say the shore, but it's not the shore here, over the beach, a few times this summer, and definitely next spring during spring training for sure. I was going to wear them today, but it's an Eagles day, Eagles schedule day, so decided against it. But yeah, shout out to FOCO. They got a lot of great stuff, and the shorteralls are pretty great.
Yeah, they are. They're hot in the streets right now. There's a lot of people rocking them. Something else that's hot in the streets, Sam, is the Eagles also will be coming to Tampa, and you can get your tickets on SeatGeek. Use code Philly Sports Report to save $20 off your first purchase. It is 8:00. The Eagles' schedule has officially been released, and I think the leaks were right. Let's look at it. We're heading over. This is from the official Eagles Twitter. And hold on. Here we go. The Eagles' schedule. Week 1 in Brazil. Week 2, Monday Night Football at home against Atlanta. Week 3 is 1 o'clock in New Orleans. Week 4 is 1 o'clock in Tampa. Week 5 is the bye. Week 6, they host Cleveland at 1 o'clock. Week 7, they are in New York taking on the Giants. Week 8, they are at the Bengals at 4:25. Week 9, Sunday Night Football hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Week 10, they are in Dallas at 4:25. Week 11, Thursday Night Football against Washington. Week 12, Sunday Night Football against the Rams in LA. Week 13, 4:25 in Baltimore. Week 14, 1 o'clock against Carolina. Week 15 is 4:25 hosting Pittsburgh. Week 16 in Washington at 1. Week 17, they host Dallas. And week 18, they host the Giants. Time of that is to be determined. So the leaks were right, Sam.
Yeah, leaks were right. Second year in a row that the people who leaked it were right. Obviously, we knew the first game of the season going to be that Friday in Brazil. First impressions, I would say having your bye in week 5 is definitely not ideal. That is going to be very tough. Hopefully the team can kind of, sustain some injuries and are able to stay healthy down the stretch. A lot of away games early. Obviously, the Packers game in Brazil counts as a home game, which sucks for us that we lose a home game, but we are technically the home team. But it looks like we got a lot of away games early, which means that it's going to be good though for us coming down the stretch. A lot of home games, a lot more 1:00 games than last year. That's another thing that sticks out to me. So we'll be back to our normal Sunday 1:00 schedules for everybody. Get your 1:00 game in, and then have the rest of your day instead of waiting all day for Sunday night or a lot of those 4:25 games. The 2 Sunday night matchups are interesting. Not really the games that you would think would be the Sunday night, but
yeah. So it's just 5 primetime games this year. One of those is on a Friday. That's the game in Brazil. So I'm not really counting that because it's a Friday. But 4 weekday games that will be primetime, and I will take that.
Yeah, that's not bad. That is not bad. I mean, my favorite time is 4:25 for an Eagles game. I see we have a few of those, so I'm glad about that. But it's hard not to like a 1:00, and so many of these Monday night, Thursday night, Sunday nights, they can get tiring. So definitely good. Glad that they did the Eagles week 2 on Monday night, give them those extra day to rest coming back from Brazil. It was expected that's how it was going to play out. I'd be interested to see when the Packers were going to play, because obviously we have the Monday night game, so maybe they'll get a little bit less rest. But I'm glad they did that for us, so that's good on the rest standpoint. But yeah, it doesn't seem too bad.
So in my initial takeaways, we knew they were going to start in Green Bay. They opened their season Monday night. Kelsey will be back with ESPN, so that'll be fun. And this is the 3rd straight year they are starting their home season against Kirk Cousins on primetime. It's the 3rd straight year. That is crazy. Like, what is the beef with Kirk Cousins in Philadelphia?
Well, I'll tell you what.
The guy is horrible on primetime.
If we're going to play Kirk Cousins, like you just said, I'm glad it's going to be a primetime game, because we all know how he is in primetime. So definitely glad that if we're going to get him 3 years in a row, that we're getting him, primetime Kirk.
Yeah, it's an AFC North year as well, so they'll take on the Browns, Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers. AFC North, it might be one of the best divisions in the NFL. The Browns came out of nowhere last year, made the postseason. The Bengals have Joe Burrow back, and of course they have their other stars. The Ravens had the best record in the league last year. The Steelers, never know. Russell Wilson seems to always kill the Eagles. The Jaguars are the other AFC team, and a lot of NFC East games are junked together. Week 7, 10, 11, 16, 17, and 18 against the NFC East. I don't like how they're all grouped together. It is what it is. That Dallas game, Week 17 in Philadelphia, will end up being the biggest. Eagles will get their first look against Jaden Daniels, Week 11 at home on Thursday night. Saquon returns to MetLife, Week 7. They'll go 13 straight weeks without a break. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's tough. And you got your Thursday night game in there as well, so you are going to get that little bit of an extra break. But on the flip side, you're going to have a short week, coming off that Cowboys game, which we all know is going to be a big one down in Dallas to go back to Washington. At least you're going to be home versus Washington, but we do know that the Eagles, it is what it is, have struggled with Washington over the past couple of seasons. It's been a few of their losses. New quarterback, like you said, with Jaden Daniels in there. So, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of plays, where, he could either be CJ Stroud last year, where he takes the Washington, some of those good receivers they have, and plays really well, or, he could be a rookie quarterback and have his struggles. So there's some teams that are definitely up in the air. Like if you look, even, we're talking about making fun of Kirk Cousins with the week 2, but the Falcons team has a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent on offense. They could, with Kirk in there, if he's healthy coming back from his injury, they could definitely be a team that could scare you a little bit. Obviously, week 1 with the Packers. Packers had a good year last year. Jordan Love seems like he can be one of the best young quarterbacks in the league coming up. yeah, it's going to be a lot of. I feel like there's a lot of teams that are kind of flip of the coin teams where they could be good, they could be okay. Obviously, Tampa, week 4. It's going to be interesting. They obviously knocked us out of the playoffs last year, but when we played them in the regular season, we destroyed them. So, we'll see how Baker does coming off of having a good year leading them to a playoff victory last year. They're going to be hit or miss as well. So a lot of flip games. I mean, games though that if the Eagles are who we think they should be, they should win for sure. But if they're going to be a team that's going to struggle a little bit, if they're going to be a more middle of the pack team, if their defense is going to struggle, that some of the games that they could definitely lose. Definitely going to be important for them to get off into a hot start this year. I think one of the biggest things for them is just kind of erasing that sour taste that we all have in our mouths from that end to the season. If they come out, they start 1-2, 2-3, God forbid 1-3 before the bye. I think we could be going into that bye week with a is Jalen the guy? Is Nick Sirianni? Why didn't they fire Nick Sirianni? Why did Howie make these moves on the defense? And it could get ugly going into that bye week if they have a slow start. So I think it's going to be really important for them to really start hot next year, get off to a few wins, get at least a winning record there, and then go into the stretch after the bye.
And it's a long way away, but the end of the season is looking to be kind of nice for the Eagles. They won't have to get on a plane for their final 6 games of the season. They finished their schedule with 4 of the 5 games at home for the first time in 73 years. And we have the schedule release video. So I'm going to share the screen. This is from the Eagles, 3 minutes and 32 seconds. So this is going to be fun. Here we go.
You know why you're here today?
Enlighten me.
We want to assess the psychological readiness of Eagles fans ahead of the 2024 season.
You think we're ready? We're ready!
Okay, why don't we get started, shall we? What's the first word that you think of when I show you this?
They're going to Brazil to get their first loss of the season.
I see Brian Dawkins slamming Algie Crumpler right there at the link. That's what I see.
You see all of that?
Who that? Who that?
Yeah.
Who do they think they are? Who that?
Do they not know who they're talking to?
That city's drunk.
Tell me what comes to mind.
What is a Buccaneer?
Some kind of pirate, I think.
Why not just be the Pirates?
Because there's a baseball team called the Pirates.
There's a baseball team called the Giants, Doc. What are we talking about here?
Any thoughts or feelings?
No.
Took Saquon. Bet you mad about that. I think we could both play against the Bengals and spank them.
Well, I would really enjoy spanking them with you. Let's move on. Mom, have you been to Jacksonville?
Jacksonville where?
No. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Oh, it just makes me nauseous.
Why don't you hold on to that for a
Nah.
second? Nope. Can we do a little word association? Dallas.
Blows.
Cowboy.
Ass.
Victory.
Birds. Taco holder.
Santa, I think you're drunk. Have you been to Baltimore?
No.
Do you want to go to Baltimore?
No.
What sound would this animal make?
Have you met them?
Some, yeah.
From like that side of the state?
You can take 2 L's
Yeah.
and make a W.
I was at their stadium. It's like going to prison.
Have you been to prison?
I've seen movies.
You like prison movies? Why does Dallas suck?
Well, I'd have to answer a question with a question. Why do they think they don't suck?
The burden of proof is on them.
Yeah.
We
Create
miracles. Say it with me.
I just did. This has been quite an eventful examination. I've come to a determination about your readiness psychologically for the upcoming season. I can tell you from my professional perspective, I think you're ready.
I'm ready, Doc.
You are absolutely ready.
I'm ready.
Thank you, Doctor.
You are raring to go, as they say.
Go Birds! B-I-R-D-S-E-O!
Go Birds!
All right, there you go. That was very good. Very good job by the
That
Eagles.
was awesome. That was hilarious. The best one to me was the Browns one when the little girl is like, "Do you have any thoughts on this?" No.
They were pretty good. There was a few in the Philly Sports Guy, friend of the program,
Yeah.
made it in. Very good job. A lot of
Yeah, that
what
was
was
really
the other
funny. That was
the other
really
one that
funny.
I liked was
I like the Jacksonville one when they call
Oh,
it
yeah.
the
Have you
bomb.
ever
Have you ever
been
been
to
to
Jacksonville?
Jacksonville? No. Enough
Where-
said. Okay.
Jacksonville where? Why aren't
Yeah,
they just the
good.
Pirates?
Yeah, the Buccaneers one was funny. That was really good. The best
Yeah.
one I've ever seen last year was last year at the Titans when they went around the streets of Nashville, asking people on the street to name the teams, and they were just coming up with random names and then putting them up with the team names, and it was very funny. But that was really good. That was really well done.
Yeah, that was very much worth the 3 minutes and 30 seconds. We're coming down the stretch of our show here. I want to go through each game with you and dissect each one, what we think will be wins and losses.
Oh boy.
So starting week 1 in Brazil against Green Bay. I have the Eagles winning this game, but it's not going to be an easy one at all.
Yeah, so initial take on this game, I do think the Eagles are going to win. They've come out the last few years since Nick Sirianni took over as the head coach, and they have won week 1 every single year. They know how to prepare for it. I think they're going to be able to unveil. I think one of the biggest things, too, is that they will have no tape on Kellen Moore, his offense with Saquon Barkley and then Vic Fangio. Well, we'll have an idea because we've been running his kind of defense. I do think that they're going to have not a lot of tape on them, so they'll be able to kind of unleash a bunch of new things on the Packers. Like you said, not going to be an easy game, but I do think the Eagles do win this one.
Yeah, playing in Brazil, the Eagles green is banned in that stadium because their rival. So the Packers are going to wear white because they're the. What are the Eagles going to wear?
I got to go with the black jerseys.
Yes,
It'll
but
be a
there's some,
Friday night game, under the lights. Start the season getting Saquon in black, Trotter Jr. in the black. Get all those guys. I think they got to go the black.
we'll see what happens. But there's some of that green on that jersey as well. I don't know. Then they got to make some sort. The only midnight green that's not on any of the Eagles jerseys is the Kelly green. So are they going to have to go with the Kelly green in Brazil?
They can't wear green at all.
Oh,
The main color of the jersey can't be green.
so they're screwed.
So they have to wear black or white.
Well, white's got a lot of green on it too because the numbers are
Well,
green and stuff.
The main color of the jersey.
Oh, so the whole jersey can't be green.
Yeah, like other teams will play there and they'll have green on their jerseys, but it can't be the main color of the jersey.
Okay, so they're going to have to go with the black.
Which is
We
like
should just-
it's a crazy. It's so imagine if the Eagles were like, oh yeah, sorry, sorry, like some overseas soccer team, you can't wear your blue jersey because it's the color of the Cowboys. Like it's so wild.
It's a different breed over there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Week 2, Kirk returns to the link for Monday Night Football against Atlanta. Trotter Jr., his father, had some experience against Atlanta, and I don't know if he's going to play, but I think the Eagles will be going 2-0 to start their season.
I agree. I think coming back home, Monday Night Football against Kirk Cousins, like we talked about, it seems eerily similar to the last 2 games that they started week 2, Monday Night Football against the Vikings. I think they also will win this game.
Week 3 in New Orleans. I think the last time they were in New Orleans was that playoff game that they lost. It went right through Alshon Jeffrey's hands, so some PTSD from that. I don't think the Eagles win this game, just on the fact that I don't think they literally ever win in New Orleans, and there's no way they go 3-0.
So I think they're going to win this game. I don't think the Saints are very good. I don't like Derek Carr. I do think they'll start 3-0, but I'll skip ahead. I do think they're going to lose week 4. I think they lose one of the two of these games, one of the two going into the bye. I don't think they'll start 4-0. I think they will start 3-1, one of the two. I just don't like Derek Carr, and obviously Tampa coming down and beating them last year. The Eagles are going to want revenge, but, I feel like the Eagles never play well in Tampa either. So obviously they won there earlier in the season, but previous to that win, they hadn't really played well there. So one of the two I think are going to be lost, but I would choose Tampa personally. But
I'm going to be honest with you, Sam. I'm going to keep it real. I think they lose in Tampa as well. I think they go into the bye 2-2 with a lot of questions. It's just they're going to come in with so much wanting the revenge, and it's just all, I think it just all, piles on them again. I think they're going to go in 2-2. People are going to want Sirianni fired. Jalen Hurts, don't think are going to be the real deal. And then I think the rest of the season is kind of not smooth sailing, but goes a lot better for the Eagles out of their really early bye. Week 6, I think the Eagles win.
I think they win as well. They're very good coming off of the bye. I don't think Deshaun Watson is very good anymore. We kind of saw last year with his injuries and his play, he just wasn't great, and they were winning games with worse quarterbacks and PJ Walker in there and stuff. So
hey,
I don't
Joe
really
Flacco, Eagles legend, Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, exactly. So I don't think the Browns are that great. Eagles have a good record coming off the bye under Sirianni. I think they win this game.
Week 7, Saquon's return to New England or to New Jersey, I should say. I think the Eagles win this one as well. And honestly, I think it's no contest because I think the Giants may have one of, if not the worst record in the NFL this year.
Yeah, this one I feel like the Eagles will win as well, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lose just because, division game away. The Eagles always beat the Giants. And then last year, that game at the end of the season just kind of scarred me a little bit. And then, I feel like this game will either go one of two ways. Saquon rushes for $185 and 2 touchdowns, and Eagles blow them out. Or, the Giants, have revenge on their minds of us taking Saquon, and they win like 21-18 or something like that. So, I think the Eagles will win, but it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if, the Giants win.
And under Sirianni, the Eagles have struggled in New York as well. So
yeah, they play very bad at MetLife.
Yeah, week 8, I think they go back in their losing ways in Cincinnati. I think they lose that one in week 8. So what do I have them as? I have win, 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2. I have them right now at 4-3 in week 8.
I also have this one as a loss. Going to Cincinnati, playing against Joe Burrow, obviously an elite quarterback. They have some elite wide receivers out there. Their defense has lost a few pieces over the last few years, but Bengals are a very, very good team, and I think that the Eagles are going to lose this one.
Week 9, kind of a weird Sunday night game. Hosting Jacksonville, Doug Peterson returns. I don't know who signed off for this one to be a Sunday night game, but I think the Eagles win.
Yeah, I think the Eagles win too. I don't love Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has been up and down since coming into the league. Like you said, Doug Peterson returned, but the last time the Eagles played them, they beat them. Weird Sunday night. The Rams is also a weird Sunday night. There's a lot better games that could have been Sunday night. Bengals, Ravens, Cowboys, just weird Sunday night game. Eagles play well, primetime at home. Jaguars aren't really on prime time a lot. I also think this is a win.
Week 10 in Dallas. I think the Eagles lose this one. When was the last time the Eagles won a game in Dallas? It's not going to be this year.
Oh my God, gotta be. The only Eagles win in Dallas I can think of off the top of my head is like 2017 when they
Super Bowl year
completely ran all over them that game, and they won, and that's the last time. That might be the last time they won down there.
That is the last time, and I don't think it happens again this year.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Dallas is going to be a good team. I don't think that they're going to be that great. I think they're going to be hovering around 9-10 wins, but they just until they win down there, and Jalen always plays horrible in Dallas. Like always one of his worst games. Even the Super Bowl year when, you know, he took us down there, he didn't play great down there. So, yeah, I think this is a loss as well.
Super Bowl year, Hurts was hurt when they went to Dallas.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the year before.
Minshew almost led them
You're
to
right.
win that game. And I think if Hurts was in that game, I think the Eagles win.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the year before when he was kind of throwing the ball, you know, a bunch of interceptions. He had the one deep pass touchdown, but yeah, not great.
Week 11 against Washington. Our first look at Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner of this past season. It's a Thursday night game against Washington, Week 11. Kind of some trauma of some prime time against Washington, but I think the Eagles will be able to win this one.
So I'm going to have this one as a loss.
Oh no!
Yeah, I think that the Eagles are they're not going to. I think they always lose 2 in the division normally. I think they're going to sweep the Giants. I think they're going to split with Dallas. And then coming off of Dallas, going to Thursday Night Football is not a great spot. I feel like this is a big letdown game for the Eagles, but I think they're going to make it up later in the schedule.
It's not what I wanted to hear out of you. The Amazon game? They lose the Amazon game?
They just always have these games, 1 or 2 a year, where you don't expect them to lose, and they always do. And then there's always going to be that 1 or 2 where you think they're going to lose and they win. So, you know, I feel like last year, no one expected them to lose to the Jets. They lost to the Jets. No one expected them to go into Kansas City, beat the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs. So, you know, it evens itself out at the end of the season, but I think that this is a potential one of those kind of letdown games. I mean, we saw it a couple of years ago, the exact same situation Thursday night. The Eagles were undefeated against a terrible Washington team, and, you know, they made a bunch of mistakes, and it just seems like they have those games every once in a while.
And everyone was panicking. Look what happened. They won the NFC. Week 12, another weird primetime game Sunday night at SoFi against the Los Angeles Rams. I have another win for the Birds.
Yeah, I think they win this game. Obviously, you get a mini bye week there. Rams are good. Don't think they're great. Matt Stafford, we'll see how he plays this year. Had a good bounce back season last year after being injured. They made the playoffs, obviously, so it won't be the easiest game, but you know, there'll be a big test for our new cornerbacks, that's for sure, with Puka and Cooper Kupp out there. But I do think the Eagles will go out there and win. We know it's going to be basically a home game for the Eagles, so that'll definitely help them as well.
Week 13 may be the biggest game. I don't know if the biggest non-NFC East game of the year for the Eagles in Baltimore. Bird v. Bird action. They take on the Ravens at 4:25, Week 13. I think this is a really tight one, but I don't think the Eagles will be able to pull it out.
So this is my game that I have as the flip, you know, kind of my even out game. I do think the Eagles are going to win this game. The Ravens are not great at passing the ball, which will play into the Eagles' strengths a little bit. Obviously, they have Derrick Henry now, but we'll see what he's able to give them. Don't have great wide receivers. I mean, they obviously have a great defense, but I think this is their kind of even out game. Everyone expects, you know, I probably will pick them to lose going into this game, but right now, I think, you know, just for the sake of our exercise, I think this is going to be the one that makes up for a Commanders' home loss.
All right, you've rejuvenized my my confidence. Positive Sam Hine, 2024. Week 14, they host Carolina. Please don't tell me this is your letdown game. I think the Eagles win.
No, this is not. This better be a win. I'll tell you that much. The Panthers are horrible. I don't believe in Bryce Young. So, yeah, I have this as a win for the Eagles.
Week 15.
Although, if they do beat the Ravens, you know, it obviously is a big boost and then letdown spot. But I think the Panthers are so bad that it's not going to be a worry.
Week 15, they take on the weird side of Pennsylvania, the Steelers. They travel east, 4:25. This is where my Eagles' dominance starts. I think they win against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what the Eagles Stadium looks like this week with how many Steelers fans make the trip or just are in the area and are there. I don't love Russell Wilson. I don't love Justin Fields, whether he's going to be starting for them. I do think this is another win for the Eagles. I think that the one thing kind of going through the schedule as we're doing it game by game, I do think this kind of mid-end to the season right here has a lot of potential. Obviously, the Ravens is going to be a super tough game, but from that Week 11 on, There's only 2 games that should be, potential losses in there if you're just, going off of who they're playing. So it definitely can lead to a good final stretch here.
And the home schedule as well, outside of Dallas, which I think would be their toughest home game, is not. It's
Not
a pretty. It is a pretty easy home schedule. You saw the gauntlet they had last year. There's no real tough games packed together as well. Like you go off of Ravens, that is cushioned by the Rams and the Panthers. Cowboys is cushioned by Commanders, Giants. Like you don't have a crazy gauntlet this year that you had last year. Do you have a week 5 bye? Yeah, which sucks. But that home schedule is not horrible. And I like how the schedule is formatted other than that week 5 bye and the groupings they have. Week 16 in Washington, basically a home game for the Eagles. I have it as their 3rd straight win.
Yeah, I think they win this game. I don't think Washington's going to be very good. I think they're going to be in almost pack-it-in mode by this point. So I think they win this game as well.
Week 17, my game of the year. It will probably be the deciding factor for the NFC East. Week 17 against Dallas, 4:25 at the Link. 4 straight wins for the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think the Eagles will go from, the Commanders in Week 11 to the Cowboys in Week 17 without a loss. I think one of these games will be a loss in here, but if we're going through the history, the Eagles beat Dallas at home and they lose to them on the road. So, it's hard to go against the history here. Looking back at it, one of these games, I think from Week 11 to 17, they'll probably lose one of them, most likely the Ravens one. But going down the home stretch, it's not that bad. It's really not. And that's a big change from last year. And like you were saying earlier, I think the schedule, obviously if they're just playing really bad football like they did last year, they can lose to everybody. But it's almost kind of like losing streak proof a little bit. You always, one of the things that people talk about with like baseball is, you want to have a starting pitching staff where they're kind of losing streak proof, where you have a stopper in there, where we got some of these teams where we should be able to beat up on them pretty easily. So hopefully it's losing streak proof, and hopefully they'll be able to have a good home stretch here.
Finally, Week 18 against the Giants. This game may not matter, but if it does, I think the Eagles win. So I have the Eagles at 12-5.
So I have this game as a loss just because I do think that the division will be locked up by then. So I believe I have the Eagles at I think I have them at 11-6 or 12-5. So yeah, about the same.
So I think
11-6, but I don't think Dallas is going to win more than 10 games. So
I think they'll be like, the Week 18 will probably matter just because it always seems to matter, and I think the Eagles will. I think if it matters, they'll take care of business. If not, then I don't think they won't start anyone that really matters. So I think they'll lose that one. So it's either going to be a 12-5 season or a 11-6, and I think both of those win you in NFC East.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I mean, the Eagles very rarely miss the playoffs, so I think that it's pretty easy to say that they're hopefully going to make the playoffs this year. Like we talked about, the schedule kind of favors them a little bit, helps them out, and I mean they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of talent on offense. They got a lot of talent now on defense. At least we hope. If some of these kind of draft picks can get put in there.
Here's your preseason schedule. They will They will go to Baltimore, then go to New England, then they will host Minnesota in the final and third one. Sounds like they're going to have a joint practice with New England, leading into that preseason game on August 15th. So that will be a joint practice week with New England, then into the game that week. But no one really cares about preseason anyway because nobody cares. But if you like it, there you go.
We're not going to see any starters play in any of these games. Well, actually, I take that back. We might. I mean, they've talked a lot about how they think that some of the reason why they collapsed last year was because they weren't, as tough on them in training camp. So who knows? Maybe we'll get some starters in these games. But we know that they take the joint practices extremely seriously. So at least we'll get some Drake May versus Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean film to watch, and highlights to watch from all the reporters that are going to be up in New England.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. So it's always fun. Biggest takeaway of the schedule, Sam, for me, it's that Week 5 bye. I think that it could win or kill your season depending on how you are kind of going into it. I have the Eagles going into it 2-2, and then I cover them coming out of it 10-3. So that could save or kill a season, or early or late bye. And also that those last 6 games where they don't have to travel, it's going to help them because I have them winning 5 straight games to end the season.
Well, especially because they do have such an early bye with the no travel, and they're going to be traveling the most of any team except for the Packers, to start the season, going all the way down to Brazil and then coming back. I think it's like a 12, 13, 14-hour flight, something like that, they were saying, which is just crazy to start your season like that. So my biggest takeaway, I would have to agree with you, it's going to be that Week 5 bye. It's very rare that you have a bye that early. I saw somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but some people were just talking about, how hard it is to win games late after having a Week 5 bye so early in the season and having those 13 or whatever it is straight games after that. It's going to be tough for sure. Hopefully the Eagles can stay healthy down the stretch, but we're gonna see what this team's made of, and finally got that, and we can start planning some trips.
And maybe the best part of all of this, no holiday games, everybody. No Thanksgiving game, no Christmas game. We can relax during the holidays, so that's good. Here's the primetime games per team. We'll go bottom to top. 0 for Carolina. They're the only team with 0. Indiana, Indianapolis, New England, Arizona, and Tennessee all have 1. Minnesota, Vegas, Washington, Denver, and Jacksonville both have 2, or all have 2. The Giants, the Bears, the Chargers, and the Saints have 3. The Texans, Steelers, Bucks, Seahawks, Falcons, and Browns have 4. Kansas City, Buffalo, Green Bay, Detroit, Cincinnati, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Miami, and the Rams have 5. And topping it out with 6 are the Jets, the Niners, and the Cowboys. This Jets thing is crazy. I don't see it.
The league better hope Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, because if not, there's going to be a lot of flexing of schedules. There's going to be a lot of moving around of game times. Some of these Eagles games might get flexed. The Jets, they have a big fan base, obviously, with New York. They have a lot of hope up there. So I don't know, but there's a lot better teams in the AFC, in my opinion.
And you said
I think
you
the
like
Texans not getting a lot of primetime games is interesting, because CJ Stroud, a lot of people like him, and Will Anderson, and adding Stephon Diggs. So we would like to see them on primetime a little bit more.
Yeah, 4 games is a number. And you said that you liked what Tennessee did last year, right?
Their schedule release video, yeah.
Well, there's only one way to end the show, and that is by showing them doing it again.
Oh my God.
So here you go.
Hey guys, Red Stallion Girl. I'm here back on Broadway.
Oh, the Bengals. Yeah, I love the Bengals.
Love the Bengals.
Love Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
They peaked in 1970.
And
over the cheese.
Okay.
Okay, so Alex Earl's boyfriend.
That's the Dallas Cowboys. That's Dak Prescott.
I wouldn't want to be a table around him.
Like, he will go on 4th every time. He just don't care. Like, he's like me if I play the NFL on my phone. I know that they used to kick the Super Bowl's ass for a consecutive, maybe 3 to 4 years straight with Tom Brady.
And then what happened?
My favorite actor is a fan of theirs.
Oh.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have.
They have David Carr is what I know about them.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have.
I don't know that one either. Yeah. If you could describe their team in 3 words, what would it be?
Going downhill.
Eli Manning, for sure.
Pretty much it.
I don't know who those guys
I
are.
don't know who they are either.
I'm terrible at this.
I'm so bad.
They have fans.
I love the Titans. I do too.
Best team in the AFC South.
We're from Tennessee, me and him. So hey, go Titans.
They've been really good lately.
I like your quarterback.
Their fan base is awesome. Good fan base. You were here for the draft. This place was like Times Square on New Year's Eve.
It's good stuff.
That's great.
No one knows
they
who.
can't. They can't stop. They can't stop it. They have to keep it going.
Nobody knows who the Jaguars are.
Yeah, apparently.
And we don't know in Philadelphia where Jacksonville is.
That
In
one
Tennessee,
guy
they
was
don't
the
even know
biggest Kirk Cousins fan of all time.
They got rid of Kirk Cousins and they shouldn't have. Yeah, it's the as Adam Schefter calls it, it's the NFL's social media's Super Bowl. So good job by the Eagles, good job by the Titans. Apparently the Patriots had a good one too. But yeah, so there you go. Tickets are on sale now for games. So go over to SeatGeek, get your tickets, use code Philly Sports Sports, save $20 off. Also, suit up for games and get your FOCO 10% off. Maybe Sam will get some shortles for when he goes out to Tampa. When the Eagles
Them getting the Tampa game in September is great for Eagles fans. It's a great place to come down. The stadium's pretty cool. Obviously, St. Pete, Clearwater is an area. Tampa area is a place that Philadelphia fans know very well. It's still going to be hot. Still going to be beach weather. So I expect there'll be a lot of Eagles fans there, and it'll be a lot of fun for sure.
And Sam will be there. Maybe. We'll see. Rocking out, representing Philly Sports Reports. That's all we got for the show. Anything else you want to add before we wave the white flag here on the Eagles 2024 schedule release live stream? First time we ever did this. Maybe we'll do some more live streams like this.
Yeah, it was fun. Now we just have to look ahead to training camp, and can't wait for that to get started. And the season will be here before we know it. It's crazy that we already got the schedule for next year, and in the blink of an eye, we'll be getting ready for Eagles football again.
Yeah, it feels like we just lost to the Bucs in that playoff game a week ago, and now we already have the 2024 schedule. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Eagles 2024 schedule release live reaction. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads. To keep up, my schedule article is live. We should have some other content about it. We'll see what happens. Training camp coming up. Phil's playing right now. I think they're winning. They're winning 7-2 over the Mets. The Mets stink. So go PhillySportsSports.com has everything. So does social media. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you when we see you. Go Birds.
Go Birds.